Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special presentation of the iRacing.com Indycar Fix Series here from Twin Win Motegi. Now, this track is a 1.5-mile racetrack, 10 degrees of banking in both turns 1 and 2, as well as 3 and 4. However, turn 1 is a lot wider and a lot better radii than turn 3 and 4. The driver is going to have to lift, perhaps even dab on the brakes a little bit as this race progresses. Will Vincent alongside Randy C, and John Porzak here for this race. Going to run through the grid very quickly. Tim Doyle will be starting this race on the inside of row number 1. Jonathan Goke will line up alongside him on the outside of row 1. Matt Cook and Youngo in row 2. Andre Castro and Dennis Garis in row 3. Matt Lambertson, James Wiggins in row 4. Jaime Corral and Troy Eddy in row 5. Sebastian Taylor and Brian Trost in row number 6. Shannon Caudill and Adam Dock in row 7. Pete Fitzsimmons and Cristiano Dessart in row 8. Jin Rasmussen and Pedro Miga in row 9. Nicholas Parenti and Jay Jones, they round out your top 10 rows and a total of 26 cars making the grid here today. Going to come to you first, John Porzak. Big grid for a tough track.
Yeah, well, I'm actually really impressed by the turnout we got here tonight. The first race of the week here at Motegi. A lot of guys that we usually see, some guys that we usually don't, but should be a good race here.
And Randy, this track is perhaps one of the most complicated for drivers to get their head around. Turn number 1 and 2, flat out. Turn 3 and 4, these guys are going to have to lift, perhaps, as I said earlier, even have to dab on the brakes a little bit, especially when working in traffic.
Which Randy?
You.
Yeah, track's really difficult. I got a little confused there because there's 2 of us, so.
I'm going to call you Randolph. I'm going to call Randy. But meanwhile, pace car currently working himself down the back straightaway. We're racing today for 50 laps. Pit road speed, 45 miles an hour. These guys will probably not need to take fuel or tyres. In fact, they won't take fuel. But John, if you're at the rear of the field, perhaps you might want to consider taking tyres a little bit later on.
Yeah, unlike a lot of tracks in this series, taking tires at the end of a run might actually get you an advantage here. You could pass some cars late. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out if we get a late caution.
Be prepared for turn 3 and 4. Of course, the shortest way around the racetrack is the fastest, but as this run progresses, see guys trying to work that outside line. Say 10 degrees of banking on the that corner 3 and 4. Pace car going to come down towards pit road. As it does so, Tim Doyle is going to bring up the speed, and we will be racing here. Green flag in the air. Let's go racing for 50 laps at Twin Win Motegi. A good start by Tim Doyle. He'll pull out to the early advantage. Matt Cook, he's going to get himself up into the second position. He's down on the inside and past John Gogan. Touches John Gogan there. Almost gets spun in turn 1. He's going to lose all forms of momentum. And here comes Matt Lambertson. 3 wide as they come down the back straightaway. And they're still 3 wide, Crosno, as they come down into 3 and 4. Look at Lambertson on that outside line right now.
Yeah, kind of wondering if maybe Young got a little damage there.
He's fallen way down the field right now, has Youngo. He's currently scored in the 13th position on the racetrack after starting this race in the 4th position. Expect him to try and run at that outside line very quickly. In fact, he's not going to try and go down the number 17 car of Jim Rasmussen as they come down into turn 3 and 4 once again. Will Youngo be able to complete the pass? No, he won't. He almost gets tagged from behind again. But will go down to the inside and complete that pass on the 17 machine. Out front, however, Tim Doyle has got an early advantage, but Matt Cook right behind him in the battle for race lead.
Yeah, the guy I really have my eye on this race is Matt Cook. He's a relative newcomer to the series, although the guys who've been running this season probably know his name quite well by now. I think he's really got a good feel for this track. And looks like he's got some contact there with Tim Doyle. Hopefully save that front wing from that contact.
And this will allow Jonathan Goat to come down the inside of him. And we've got a crash as well. We're going to see if the caution will come out. We will stay green for the time being. We'll get confirmation of who that crash is. Actually, it looks like it's Jay Jones who's up in the wall out of turn number 4. We stay green. Jonathan Goat moves himself up into the 2nd position. Looks like Matt Cook has fallen himself down into the 3rd position. Right now in 4th is Andre Castro, running out your top 5 is Matthew Lambertson. But a 4-car breakaway right now, Randolph, as we've got a nice battle for these top 4 positions.
Yeah, these top 4 put on a good show. Looks like Matt is dropping back a little bit, probably a little bit of damage from that contact last time around, but Hopefully, isn't too bad. Doesn't look too bad from what I'm saying.
So Doyle still leads. Jonathan Goke is about 0.3 behind him. And then you got Castro in the third position. Matthew Lamberton in that fifth spot right now, 1.3 seconds behind this lead group. And personally, if Lamberton's going to have any chance of getting back up to this pack, he's going to have to hope that Castro, Cook, and Goke carry on fighting for position 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When you fall this much and you lose what little draft there is, you're either going to need a yellow or you're going to need those guys up front to start mixing it up.
We have our first yellow
car
flag
upside down
of the day. Yeah, car upside down. And that was Dennis Garis there in the Vortex number 6 car. Now, this is an incident in out turn number 4 involving the number 6 machine of Dennis Garis and James Wiggin in the 8 car. Coming out of turn number 4, James Wiggins just got himself a little bit loose. We've seen it all week long, Porzak. And Wiggin upside down on pit road. And Dennis Garis, his race is done as well. First caution of the day. And you have to say, Wiggins getting a little bit loose. We've seen it all week in practice.
Yeah, you can see on the replay, that's a really tough spot to be up high in turn 3 and 4. The car gets really tight, and if you've got too much wheel in it, the thing just wants to snap loose and come around on you, come into the front straight.
So, we are under our first caution of the day. We'll reset the field, run through your top 10. It is Tim Doyle leading the way. You have Young O, actually. He's not in the second position. It's Jonathan Goke who's actually scored in the second position. Andre Castro in third. Matt Cook in the fourth position. And then you have Matt Lamberton scored in the fifth spot. And then Brandon Trost in sixth. Young O in seventh. A good recovery by him. Pete Fitzsimmons in eighth. Troy Eddy in ninth. And then Jim Rasmussen in the 10th position. You're going to have to think that Young O might come onto pit road this time, though, Shenworth.
Yeah, possibly. It might be beneficial to pit early now, especially since they already dropped back. Probably won't lose much spots, or it wouldn't lose them as much if you were running towards the front. But it looks like he's choosing to stay out here.
He's choosing to stay out, but of course he had to let a couple of cars go past. If he has got damage, as we suspect he does, Crosno, then he might decide to try and work this race from the rear. We know how good Young O is, of course. The 2011 IZOD IndyCar Premier Series champion. Also, the 2012 iRacing.com Indianapolis 500 winner. Young O's got a heap load of talent and was unlucky this year in the 500.
Yeah, he is pretty masterful at coming from the back of the field, and it does look like he has a little bit of a crinkled front wing, so we'll see how he does.
One other driver who we believe might have a little bit of damage towards the front of the field, Matt Cook in that number 3 car. And Porzak, the way these cars handle, you know, turn 1 and 2, it's not going to be much of an issue. You'll struggle perhaps to get down to the inside line. We'll come back to that in a moment. But particularly in turn 3 and 4, that is where Cook will suffer if he does indeed have any damage.
Yeah, I'm trying to get a look at his car as he comes by. It looks fairly clean. With these fixed series setups they run, there's a lot of aero on these cars to begin with, so sometimes a little bit of damage isn't as much of a hindrance as it would be with the open setups. But turn 3 is definitely going to be the most exciting place on this track during this race and for the rest of the week, I think. It's probably the best passing zone, and if you're not careful running that bottom line, it's really easy to slide up and get the guy on your outside.
Now, Young O, he pulled up behind his Team Lap Racing teammate, Tim Doyle there, under caution. You've seen it on your screens. To see whether he has got any damage to that front wing, we report a tiny bit of it. He was, of course, trying to get a word from his spotter as well, see just how bad that damage was. We've had word from Banshee Autosport. Matt Cook doesn't actually have any damage to his car. The AeroX Racing boys are happy with his car. They don't need to bring him down onto pit road. Keeping an eye out on the pace car. The lights, I believe, are still on. We'll have one more lap worth a caution before those lights go out. And we'll go back to Green Flag Racing with a total of 10 laps going to be scored complete. Let's talk about that bump very quickly, actually, Porzak, on the inside of turn number 1. It's about halfway through the apex of the corner, and it kind of slows you down a tiny bit, but more importantly, especially if you're running in the draft, you've got that dirty air around you, it can kick the rear of that car out just a tiny bit.
Yeah, it's sort of in an awkward spot, and it gives you something to think about with the line you want to run. There's a pretty significant bump there right in the middle of turns 1 and 2. And it's on a part of the track where the car tends to naturally get tight. But if you hit that bump just right, it will kick the rear end around. So it does all sorts of evil things if you're not paying attention to it.
So we're going to go back to green flag racing with 10 laps scored complete. Lights still off from the pace car. We're going to get the 1 to go sign this time by. We haven't yet asked all the guys in the booth. I'm going to come first to you, Crosno. Who's going to win this race? Doyle, Doak, Cook?
Well, I'm prejudiced here. I'd have to say Matt Cook's going to win it. But, I think that the top 5 that you see now, they're all going to be vying for it. And if Young can come back, he'll be up there, obviously, as well.
Pause it.
I'm going to have to go with Matt Cook as well. I was running some laps with him earlier today, and it seems like he's just got a really good handle on the rhythm of this track.
And that's an important thing with rhythm. In fact, I was working some laps with a number of drivers earlier as well. And it seemed to be right in the apex of turn 3 and 4 where you need to get on the gas that Cook was able to find a way of slotting that car down to the inside and getting a good run off the corner. But Shenworth, you've also done a number of laps here today. Who are you fancying?
I think Young O's going to win it, even though Matt Cook was definitely the closest to me in practice, but I think Young's going to be able to work his way through the field.
Of course, we've got Andre Castro in this race as well, currently sat in the 3rd position. Could he cause an upset? But you also have Brandon Trost as well in that number 12 car. John, he's had some bad luck this season. If he can keep his car clean, he should be looking for a good top 5 finish if he can keep that car pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, I think we've seen some talent out of Trost. If he can keep his head on straight and keep the car pointed in the right direction, he could have a good finish here today.
I'll tell you what, though, he'll be lining up on the outside of row number 3 alongside Matt Lambertson, 2 of the more aggressive drivers. They really do like to get into the thick of the action early on, Matt Lambertson and Brandon Trost. They'll be starting on row number 3 for this restart. Row 2, Andre Castro and Matt Cook. Your front row, it is all purple. You've got Tim Dial on the inside, Jonathan Goke on the outside. Lights are off on the pace car. It's going to make that journey down towards pit road once again. Tim Doyle, will he go early? Will he go late? We'll find out any moment now. We're ready to go back to green flag racing here at Twin and Motegi. Doyle goes early. Goke falls into line. Castro in the 3rd position. Into line as well. Matt Cook has got Lamberton down on his inside as they come down into turn number 1. Once again, Cook's going to be hanging out to dry here. Brandon Trost will not be close enough in that GoDaddy car. So Matt Cook will fall into the 5th position. Trost in 6th. But Young O, he's looking very racy right now as they come down the back straightaway. Will he try and dive down the inside of Brandon Trost? He's going to have a look down the inside as the field bunches right up there in the apex of turn 3 and 4. And you see Trost there getting a little bit wide on the exit of the corner. This will allow Young O to come down the inside ahead of them. Andre Castro as well trying to work on John Goke. They're going to be too wide into the corner. O will complete the pass there on Brandon Trost and Andre Castro up into the 2nd position, Chenworth.
Yeah, that was a great move by Andre to get around Goke. Although it looks like Goke's going to try him again in turn 3, pulled up alongside.
Yeah, he's going to come down that inside. Will he be able to hold it on the bottom? No, he won't. So Castro will retain that 2nd position for the time being in that number 5 machine there. Jonathan Goke will stay in the 3rd position. Lamberton in 4th. Matt Cook rounds out your top 5. But here comes Young O. He is right there with that group. And I have to say, the start of the race, the field got separated very early on. Now, you've got 2-wide racing between Brandon Trost and Jim Rasmussen and Crosno. These 2 guys race very often. There's a lot of respect between these 2 drivers as they come down into turn 3. Can Rasmussen hold it on the inside line?
Yeah, he can definitely hold it on the inside line. It's just that when you hold it too tight on the inside, the back end can come loose on you as you're coming out of 4. So, something to watch for there.
Meanwhile, Young O's been able to complete the pass just about there on Matt Cook. So Cook continues to fall back. In fact, O won't get clear there. And that means he's going to be inside. There's not going to be any draft help for him. This is how Matt Cook to pull back down to the inside. Young O will do the dive into turn 3, but you see him getting a little bit loose there in the centre of the corner. In at that number 14 NASCAR. That now means he will get past. Cook falls back into what is now the 6th position on the racetrack, but he's still right on the rear. And battles continue behind him as well, as it looks as though Fitzsimmons was been able to get himself past Jim Rasmussen. And these 3, as they continue to battle on the racetrack, just means that these lead groups are pulling away, but Cook's back down to the inside and back past Young O.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that we're seeing it break out into 2 different groups here. A little bit of both worlds with this track. You've got a lot of draft on the front stretch through turns 1 and 2. And then when you get down to turn 3, it turns into a short track really quickly. So it's really easy for things to get strung out here and for different packs to develop.
2 cars in the wall right now. We stay green for the time being, but Jay Jones into the wall. We have the 20 car of Jay Jones and say into the wall. Also, Mark Schaefer was into the wall as well. It looks like he has severe damage. He's going to bring that car down into pit road. We have a spinner on turn 4, our second caution of the day, and it's Matt Lambert's in there in the number 7 car. He ran actually a little bit into the rear of John Goat, and we've seen this all week long, Porzak, that the way the momentum works in turn 3 and 4, some guys a little bit slow on that inside line, other guys carry so much more momentum. It looks like Lambert's just tagged the rear of Goat, and that spun him around, and the Boy Scouts from America car is going to be out of the race.
And that corner is particularly difficult getting in on entry with the big wings that we run on these cars. It's kind of hard to hit your mark, and it's easy to overjudge what the guy in front of you is doing and just get into him.
So, we're under our second caution of the day. Lambertson has got some severe side pod damage on his left-hand side. Also some rear wing damage. His front wing a little bit crumpled there as well. So a lot of damage to that Boy Scouts of America car. I'm sure he will bring it onto pit road. In fact, no, he stops it at the side of the racetrack. He is now classified as out of the race. We'll run through your retirees at the moment. Pace car is just working his way to the front of the field. Now he's passed himself past Tim Doyle, who is still your race leader. He's led every lap here today, Randy. And this is one of the things that, despite the fact that Tim Doyle's led every single lap of this race, if someone gets past him, it'll be interesting to see if he can work in traffic a little bit later on in this race.
Yeah, you're definitely correct there, because these cars really do handle differently when you're in traffic and behind versus out front. So, you know, when someone else does take the lead, they're going to have the clean air, and we're going to have to see if they can hold it up there as well.
We have a total of 4 cars right now working themselves down on towards pit road as we're working on the lap 18, our second caution of the day. Shannon Cordell on pit road, Neil McBride, TM Halser, and also Ron Miller on pit road. Who's going to win the race off that one? Actually, it looks like Neil McBride will get out ahead of that group. Halser will be second, Ron Miller third, and then Shannon Cordell spending a long time on pit road there. He'll come out the 4th of the 4 cars that entered pit road. Let's talk about the exit of turn number 4, actually, Paul, just a little bit, because we've talked about it a little bit before we came on air. That car, as you come out of turn 4, the back end does really want to kick out on you, even if your car is tight through the centre of the corner. You get onto the flat once again, the way the banking falls away, it does like to throw that car to the left a little bit.
Yeah, we like to call it push loose when we're talking about setups and the handling characteristics. You'll get so much wheel into that car in turns 3 and 4 that by the time you start unloading the chassis on the exit, if you've got too much wheel crank in the thing, the car really does want to just shoot to the left. And the effect is magnified as these tires get hot and you get deeper into a run. So the handling is definitely something that changes over the course of these runs, and it's something to watch as these guys get towards the end, who's going to maintain and who's going to thrive with the changing dynamics.
And for those of you who are new to IndyCar racing here on iRacing, don't forget, head over to iRacing.com and get yourself a 3-month subscription for the price of 1 right now if you go to iRacing. And this is what we call the iRacing IndyCar Fix Series. So all the drivers running exactly the same setup. All the drivers have no in-car controls, so they can't use a weight jacker, they can't use the anti-roll bars, they can't change tyre pressures, and they all start with a full tank of gas. Lights are out on the pace car, but cross note, that really does mean something on a track like this. It is going to show who the best drivers are at managing this car around a tricky racetrack.
Oh, absolutely, because like John alluded to earlier, through the course of the run, the car is going to change, the dynamics, the setups, and if you can take care of your equipment early and you've got tires left near the end of the run, you know, that's when it's going to show. So it'll be fun to see.
And this is the 3rd time that the iRacing.com IndyCar Series has made the trip to Japan on the oval. The road course has been raced a number of times in the iRacing.com IZOD IndyCar Road Series, but the first time this oval was used was back in 2012, week before the iRacing.com Indianapolis 500, and then we also ran it last season and this season as well. These guys are still getting to grips with a very difficult racetrack. The ISOWC IndyCar Series actually was able to run a full 343 miles in a row green at this track. So you guys can do it. Pace car is back in. This time Tim Doyle goes a little bit later. Green flag back in the air. And Andre Castro looks like he's going to try and get the jump on Goat. But Goat gets through the gearbox and much better. He'll have that inside line to come back down into turn number 1. But Young Ho, he's got a very good run through the corner. Can he use that momentum, Chedworth, as they work themselves on the back straight?
Yeah, I think he's gonna be looking to get outside of Andre. Although Andre's got the draft on Goat, and he looks for a second, but gets back in line. Younger wasn't able to get by.
He wasn't, he did. I tell you what, Brian Trace is right up in the grey there as they come out of turn number 4. This is going to cost them a momentum all the way through turn number 1 and 2. And this is the important thing, Porter. If you lose that momentum in turn 3, it's always going to hurt you for another lap. It's a bit like Indy in some ways. And you're seeing it right now at Brandon Trace. He's running in that 5th position, but he's losing a lot of time to Castro, Goat, and Doyle ahead of him.
Yeah, you're right, Will. It actually it reminds me a lot of turn 3 at Pocono, where if you don't hit that exit just right, that whole long straightaway in front of you, you can just watch the cars in front of you pull away like they've got 100 extra horsepower. I can tell you that one of the guys out here who's doing the best job with turns 3 and 4, not surprisingly, is Young O. You see, he really tends to gain on people on entry, and he's able to maintain that advantage through the exit of the corner and gets a great run down that front straightaway.
He kind of got a bit blocked in that time, however. He got a great run through 3 and 4 as Matt Cook's going to breeze past Brandon Trace there into turn 3. Can he hold it through 4? Yes, he will. To move Matt Cook back up into the 5th position, getting a little bit loose. This is going to allow Brandon Trace to go right past. And a little bit of dodging here right now between Jonathan Goat and Young O. O's going to have to go all the way to the outside line. And Goat came all the way down to the inside on the front straightaway to try and hurt the momentum of Young O. It puts him back into the 3rd position. O back down into 4th. Getting a little bit heated right now, and this has also allowed Brandon Trace to close that gap a little bit with Matt Cook behind him. Jim Russ moves in as well in the 7th position.
Young O into the back of Doyle on turn 4.
Car crash there, caution out, and that was Young O and Jonathan Goak in turn number 3 and 4, and that put both of them into the wall. I think Matt Cook was just out of that. Brandon Trace was involved in it, which Matt Cook was able to get through. Having a look back through the field, it does look as though pretty much everyone else was able to get through that okay. No, there wasn't. There was a secondary impact to take that back, and we'll get an eye up on who that driver is in just a moment. But
I believe it was Ronald Hacker.
Yeah, it was, as the car came down the track. I'm not sure whether he's got too much damage to his car. His wing looks okay, his suspension looks okay, but our 3rd caution of the day, Brandon Trost into the catch fence there, and you also have 2 of the big players, Young O and Jonathan Goat, out of the race. We have to say though, Crosno, that really started a couple of laps before when Jonathan Goat was taking that defensive line on Young O down the front straightaway.
Yeah, he really did run him all the way down into 1. And then looking at the replay coming out of 4, it looks like, I don't know if John missed a shift or something. It looked like he slowed and Yang got right into the back of him. Not sure what happened there though.
So, under our 3rd caution of the day, as we approach the halfway point of this race, let's have a look through the field as well. You have a couple of guys now looking on the door of a top 10 finish. You have the 18 car of Pedro Mayer. He started this race down in the 18th position, now running in 9th. Jeffrey Arkenbach started this race down in the 26th spot, Shenworth, running in 10th right now. So our biggest move for the day, up 16 positions.
Yeah, he's been keeping his nose clean and just been picking people off throughout the race and dodging the wrecks. And sometimes that's all you need to do. You don't need to have outright pace. Sometimes you just need luck to be on your side.
So, 3rd caution of the day. And this is going to be that interesting part right now. We talked about this a little bit earlier on the broadcast, Drum, that some of the guys towards the rear of the field we have right now, 18 guys scored on the lead lap. People like Neil McBride, Tim Holster, Ron Miller, they all pitted under the last caution, as did Shannon Cordill. Some of them might decide to come down onto pit road again to try and get themselves into the top 10. We've still got half of this race to go. Likely, it will stay green for a little bit longer now. We've had a number of cars eliminated.
Yeah, I know if I was running back there right now, I would definitely want to come in and get some fresh tires on that car. A little bit of beating and banging going on back in the pack. Maybe get some new front wings and get ready for the second half of this race.
So, Jonathan Goat's car has some substantial damage. He's going to bring that onto pit road anytime soon. And let's have a look and see what's going on in that battle out front. You have to say, Andre Castro, one of the standout guys in this series today, he is running in the 2nd position on the racetrack. He's pretty much been there all day long, Randy. And that guy's doing a great job in that number 5 Wrangler machine. Logitech machine, even.
Well, I'll tell you who I've really got my eye on, though, is Jim Rasmussen. Looks like he started in P17, is working himself all the way up to 4th. That's one of his specialties is racing through the field, and it looks like he's capitalizing on that today.
Yeah, he was very lucky actually there with that 3-car incident. For those of you who are just joining us under our 3rd caution of the day, and this is an incident between Jonathan Goke, Young O, and also Brandon Trost that occurred in turn number 3 and 4 on the racetrack. We'll see if we can get another replay up on our screen again. One of the things I do want to see though is that replay of what happened on lap number 22 coming into 23, because O goes down to the inside, and then Jonathan Goke, I think he's right, he did miss a shift there. You do shift at this racetrack from 4th to 5th, and this put O to the outside. He lost the momentum. Then as they came down the back straightaway, the incident occurred. I think that Goke got a little bit too tight in the second phase of the corner there, Shenworth, and that's what slowed him down as he's trying to check up for Castro ahead of him. Young O ran into the back of them, both of them out of the race, and it is a fixture of racing here at Motegi.
Yeah, I'm actually curious if Goke may have been a little slower understeering, because he did get tapped in the second caution, I believe, that was brought out, because someone nudged him a little bit in similar fashion. And he actually, the same exact thing almost happened a lap or 2 previous, where Yang almost hit Goke. So I wonder if Goke was just slow just due to a previous contact.
And in fact, we will welcome Young O into the GlacierTV booth. Young, disappointing to have you out in that number 4 car so early on in this race.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you want me to say my honest opinion of what happened.
Well, there was 2 incidents that happened. The first one was on lap 22 as you came onto 23. You were on the outside line, you moved down onto the inside, and I'm not sure whether you got blocked or whether it was just a case that Goke missed a shift. But then there was a second impact there in turn 3 and 4, which ended up putting you out of the race.
Oh, there was 3 incidents. At the very beginning of the race, going to turn 1, I was on the inside, clearly had a wing below Goke, and he chopped me off, got me sideways. That's how I fell back to like, I don't know, 20th or something. And then the second one, I got to run him on the front straight, came down to block me. Apparently he did that to a lot of people. And then the third one, suddenly he decided to slow down coming off the corner and then blame me for that. So that's definitely an eye-opener.
3 incidents. You worked yourself from the 20th position all the way back up. I'm guessing you're very disappointed. I'm sure we'll see you next time out, probably in Pocono in a couple of weeks' time. Stick around for a moment because we're about to go back to Green Flag Racing. Here is Tim Doyle, still your race leader in that Team Nap car. Andre Castro in 2nd, Matt Cook in the RX car in 3rd, Jim Rasmussen in 4th, Pete Fitzsimmons in 5, and oh, look at the contact there between Tim Doyle and Andre Castro. Green Flag is now back in the air. I'm wondering if Castro have any sidebar damage there as they storm back down into turn 1. This is going to allow Rasmussen to have a good run on the outside line, as the inside line was checked up dramatically there, and Matt Cook is trying to work right now on Castro as they work themselves out of turn number 2 once again. We've got Matt Cook, he's going to try and make that move. He's not going to be quite close enough, but Rasmussen in that 4th position smells a little bit of blood right now, and Tim Doyle, he's able to get out. I thought they brought that. He would be able to get a bigger lead than that. Very close call on that restart.
Yeah, that was definitely an interesting restart. Looks like Castro and Tim were kind of fighting over the same real estate before they even got rolling there, and I think both of them were probably a little taken aback by how close that was.
So working ourselves right now on lap number 29 of 50 here in the eyes of Indycar Fixed Series on iRacing. Your top 5, Tim Doyle from Andre Castro, Matt Cook in 3rd, Jim Rasmussen in 4th, and Pete Fitzsimmons rounds out your top 5. Fitzsimmons actually looking down to the inside of Rasmussen as they come back down into turn number 1, and that Derek Spear Designs car will complete that pass a little bit on Rasmussen, but this is a cut under that Rasmussen's going to try, and he will get the good run as they work back down into turn number 3. Fortunately, it does look as though we've lost Crosno just for the time being, but battle right now. This continues for 4th and 5th position on the outside line. Fitzsimmons is holding his own. In fact, it looks as though he will clear Rasmussen. This is what we talked about earlier on, Paul, that later on in that race, that high line actually is more beneficial. If you get that turning up done into turn 3 and 4, that outside line can work a lot better.
Yeah, this is a pretty strong move there by Fitzsimmons. It's a little delicate trying to protect yourself in that situation, but he held the line really well and navigated that corner well enough that he was able to hold off Rasmussen there.
a little bit further back through the field, we talked about Jeffrey Arkenbrandt, who was running in the 26th position at the start of this race, now in the 10th spot. There's a nice freeway battle going on between himself, Pedro Mega, and Troy Eddy. And you see that Mega having to check up big time as they come off of turn number 2. This is going to allow Arkenbrandt to lose momentum, and like Cristiano de Sá will go down to the inside line, and he will pick up that position as they storm down into turn number 3 once again. But we've got ourselves 2 distinct battles going on the racetrack right now, as it looks as though that Sebastian Taylor is going to get past Rasmussen as well, with Rasmussen getting a little bit loose out of turn number 4, Chenworth.
Yeah. Like we've been saying all race long, turn 4 is definitely tricky, and if you're not just right coming off of it, you can get loose really easy.
So they'll work themselves down the back straightaway. 33 laps going to be scored complete at the line. Here comes Rasmussen. What a move down to the inside line. Can he hold it though? No, he can't. He'll still be side by side as they come off the corner. And Rasmussen's getting that loose effect that we were talking about earlier on in this race, and it's costing him now 2 positions in 1 corner, Paul's.
Yeah, you can see that car really rotating as he came off that corner and just lost all his momentum. And he's just watching those 2 guys in front of him drive off because of it.
Troy Eddy is having a good battle right now with that 18 car of Pedro Mega. They've pretty much been too wide the last 3 or 4 laps as they come down to turn 3 once again. Eddy on that outside line was able to get it done on the entry of the corner, but then his car is starting to get a little bit tight now, and that is going to allow, I believe, that CM Pulsar in the Vortex number 24 machine to look down on the inside as they come down into turn number 1 once again. But this is one of the characteristics of this racetrack. We're going to turn our attention back to the race lead, however. Andre Castro just a car length behind Tim Doyle right now. Matt Cook a further car length back. We now have a 3-car breakaway in the battle for the race lead, with Pete Fitzsimmons about 8 car lengths back, and then Sebastian Taylor a further 10 laps back, who rounds out your top 5. In fact, Taylor is under a bit of pressure right now from Adam Dock in that number 14 car. But this is the thing about this racetrack. You can race here, you can go too wide, you can pass. It is a true driver's track.
I think it's different in a lot of ways from a lot of tracks that these cars run on, in that you can make these passes, you can run side by side, and it really produces some good racing. I mean, we're seeing it all around the track here. Guys getting good runs down the front straightaway, and guys, countering back in turn 3. It's a really fantastic track.
And we have a new race leader going to be leading for the first time today, Andre Castro. But Tim Doyle is going to get that good run back down on the inside, that cut under once again, Chenworth. And this is now turning up to be a great battle for the race lead. Tim Doyle will dive it down in low into turn number 3. He will complete the pass as they roll it through turn number 4. Tim Doyle back to the point there. He will lead that lap. He's led every lap of the race at the line. But Andre Castro, the first person to put the challenge on that number 1 Foyt Wines machine.
Yeah, Andre's looking really quick right now, but right now Matt Cook is probably loving this as well, knowing that they're racing side by side, giving up a little bit of speed every time they do so. And it's letting him possibly catch up a little bit if he does lose any ground, and possibly make a move as he's getting really close to Andre right there.
Yeah, and this is about for the 2nd position on the racetrack right now with Matt Cook. And now these guys have got themselves about a 2nd gap over Pete Fitzsimmons with just about 11 laps left to go at the line. This is that point where those 3 will really start battling it out. Matt Cook arguably has got the chance to win this race. Tim Doyle's got the chance to win this race. Andre Castro clearly has a chance to win this race. These 3 guys, it's going to be a battle all the way to the finish here. 11 laps to go at the line. We've got, meanwhile, the 16 car of Cristiano de Sá. He's going side by side right now with the number 19 car of Nicolas Parenti. And that 19 car driving to Club France, looking as though he's been able to complete the pass there, moving himself forward into the 12th position on the racetrack.
Yeah, a lot of good racing going on all over the track. Guys in the back there, you can see some of the effects of this track, just bunching up in one corner and then spreading out. It's like an accordion all the way around here.
So we've got ourselves now 10 laps left to go. Tim Doyle in first position, Castro 2nd, Cook 3rd, Fitzsimmons in 4th, and Sebastian Taylor will round out your top 5. Rasmussen in 6th position, Adam Dock 7th, Pedro Mega in 8th, Tim Halser in 9th, and Troy Eddy rounds out your top 10. Have a look at the number 17 car of Rasmussen as they come down the back straightaway. He's got Adam Dock putting pressure under him, but he's going to try and make the move on Sebastian Taylor. I also saw that. Pedro Mega, what a move there on the outside. They're going to be too wide, too deep as they come off the corner. Here comes Mega. Will he try and make it 3 wide? Yes, he will. As they come down inside, one contact there between him and the number 10 car. They will both carry on. I don't think there's any damage to either of those cars there. Rasmussen lives to fight another day, but 3 wide racing here down to turn 1. It is doable. There just wasn't room to do that quarter.
I was holding my breath for that one. As these cars get later and later into this run, you can see a lot of sliding around and really getting exciting out here.
And Sebastian Taylor lose all forms of momentum there on the outside line. You can see he really is struggling now in that number 11 car. He falls back into line behind Adam Dock, who's been able to move himself up into the 6th position after starting this race in the 14th spot. Team Halser as well, you have to say right now, running in that 9th spot, starting down in 24th. A good drive by him. Looks like he's just keeping it cool for the time being as Doc's on the outside line of the 17 car of Rasmussen. Will he complete the pass? He'll get a good run off the corner. He keeps it going. Rasmussen loses that momentum once again, Shenworth, and that puts him down another position. He's now down into 7th, and now you have Adam Dock into the 6th spot.
Yeah, there's about a 7-car train going right here for the top. I believe it's 5th place, and if you lose any momentum, you're just going to lose 1 or 2 spots before the next corner. So you got to just hit your margin perfect and watch your mirrors as well.
Let's turn our attention back to this battle for the race lead, because Tim Dahl has been able to get himself about 2 car lengths over Andre Castro as they come back down into turn number 1 once again. You have to say, Paul, that Castro isn't able to get that good run through turn 3 and 4 that he had that one time ever since that moment about 10 laps ago when he took the race lead for about half a lap. Tim Dahl is just so good in the centre of that corner. However, of course, that dirty air effect this late into the race really is playing into favour of that 1 car.
Well, that you've got to wonder how much of this is a chess game going on between these top 3. I've been looking at their lap times, and the top 3 here have been pulling away from P4 by about 2/10 every lap. So they are really getting themselves in a good position to settle this among the 3 of them. Just have to see what Andre Castro or Matt Cook has for Tim Doyle as they get down to the last couple of laps here.
Keeping an eye on this battle right now for P5, 6 and 7 on the racetrack. In 5th is Adam Dock, 6th Tim Halser, 7th is Jim Rasmussen. We've got Pedro Mayer as Rasmussen again getting sideways off of turn number 4. This is going to allow Pedro Mega to go past at the straight, moving him up into the 7th position. And it was going to take a little bit of the airway there from Jim Rasmussen as well as they work through turn number 2. Rasmussen's going to try it down on the inside line as they work themselves down into 3 and 4 once again, working lap 47 of 50 here, and this time Mega will be able to stay into what is now the 7th position on the racetrack, actually getting a good run now on Tim Halser as well. You have to say, Shenworth, that Mega has got a good chance to try and move himself up into 6th in the latter stages of this race.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be keen on doing so, and with coming to 3, 2 to go next time by, he's not going to be very patient anymore, and he's going to be really keen on that 6th place spot, possibly pushing for Adam Dock to 5th. That's going to be that'd be amazing if he could do that.
And you see
and he makes the move in turn number 3.
Yeah, down to the inside, he completes that pass easily down to Tim Halser. He'll have 2 laps now to go to try and catch Adam Dock in the battle for the 5th position on the racetrack. Tim Dahl is still your race leader. It looks like Castro is not quite close enough. Matt Cook isn't close enough as well in that 3rd position to make an impact in the battle for the race lead. We're keeping an eye out still on that 5th, 6th, 7th position on the racetrack. Tim Halser looking like he's going to try and get that close. He's going to look down to the inside. He needs to get a good run off this corner. This time by white flag in hand. 1 more lap to go here at Twin Wing Motegi. Tim Dahl is still your race leader. That gap at the line was 2 tenths of a second over Andre Castro. Matt Cook is in the 3rd position. Pete Fitzsimmons in 4th. Adam Dock in the 5th spot. It looks like Tim Halser is going to make that move. He's going to have to do it now. He's looking down to the inside. Will he complete that pass into turn number 3 and 4? He's not going to be quite close enough. Now a dive to the inside, but Tim Doyle will come out of turn 4. He wins the race. Andre Castro comes home in the 2nd position. Matt Cook
Pedro
in
Mega
3rd.
and Adam Dock side by side to the line.
It's going to be close. Who's going to get it? So close. Photo finish between those 2. And they were separated at the line by 6 1/1000ths of a second. Tim Halser just gets it over Pedro Mega there, Borzuk.
Yeah, it was a great finish. You got to take your hat off to Tim Doyle here, man. He just dominated that race. I was wondering to see if Andre Castro was going to drop back and try to get a run in that last lap, and Tim just checked out on that field.
So, fortunately, we haven't got much time. We're going to run through your final race results. Tim Doyle finishes in the first position at some about 36 minutes. Andre Castro in second, Matt Cook in third, Pete Fitzsimmons in the fourth position, Adam Dock in fifth, Tim Hulser in the sixth position, Pedro Mega in seventh, Troy Eddy in eighth, Neil McBride in ninth, and Sebastian Taylor will round out your top 10. Nicholas Parenti 11th, Jim Rasmussen falls down into 12th at the end. His tyres really struggling. Chrissy Desar tyres also struggling for him, 13th. Ronald Hacker 14th, Shannon Cordell in 15th, Jeffrey Arkenbar in 16th, and then the last of the guys on the lead lap was Ron J. Miller. Goke, Trost, O, Schaefer, Lamberts, and Jones Reese all scored out of the race, as was Wigan and Coral. Unfortunately, that is all we have time for. Plenty more IndyCar racing coming your way on Glacier TV over the next couple of weeks, with 2 doses of Pocono 400s, including the next round of the iRacing World Tour. The iRacing Pocono 400 coming your way 2 Eastern Time on the 13th of July. From myself, Will Vincent, from Randolph Shenworth, from Randy Crosney, and from John Porzek, we'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.